Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy Fitz TV here, aka G133. I'm back here with another video on the channel for y'all today, and this is the Legit Shoot podcast here with your SmackDown review and results for January 1st, 2021. It is the first day of the year, at least when I'm recording this. I don't know when you guys are going to see this, but yes, Happy New Year. If I haven't sent it yet, Happy New Year to you guys, your friends, your family. 2020 is officially in the rear view mirror, right? And let's just hope 2021 is a fresh start for everybody. I know a lot of us said that for 2020, and then the world went to hell. But it is now 2021, chance for a fresh start. So honestly, guys, I want to wish you guys a Happy New Year, right? Hopefully you guys make the most of this new start, and hopefully things do get back to normal. But yes, this is our first SmackDown review of 2021. I am audio only for this week, but still gonna give you guys that same fire I usually give you guys on the podcast every week. But yeah, let me know in the comment section. What do you guys want to see out of WWE in 2021? Give me one thing. Don't give me like a million things. But earlier today, I did make a video where we did talk about 2020 for WWE. We went through the Slammy Awards. We talked about the pay-per-views. We talked about what WWE did right and a lot of the stuff that they did wrong, mainly, going with Vince McMahon because he's the one to blame for most of that negative stuff. But how WWE can fix that in 2021, and it's a pretty simple solution, of course. So go check out that video if you guys haven't already. It was close to 2 hours. It was a laid back podcast, but still, it was a good time. So if you guys need something to listen to. Also, I posted earlier this week, I posted a video talking about Sasha Banks and her 2020 and why I believe she was the MVP for WWE, her and Bayley, what they did. You can make arguments, of course, for Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, but I made a nice little bonus podcast talking about why I believe Sasha was the MVP for WWE. So go check that out if you guys haven't already. But yeah, SmackDown tonight was a good show. 2 weeks in a row, man. I love what SmackDown is doing. There was nothing wild that happened on the show tonight. It was pretty simple and straightforward, but we are slowly building towards the Royal Rumble at the end of January. And you're starting to see what potentially some of the feuds are going to be, some of the rivalries going into, the Royal Rumble. With Sasha Banks, there's like legit 4 different opponents that they can legit have her defend against right now. And we'll talk about that tonight. Roman Reigns and Kevin Owens, their program is continuing, and I have no problem with that. I've been enjoying that feud as well. Big E's Intercontinental Championship reign has begun as well. And we also had a big return tonight on SmackDown. So, SmackDown was pretty simple, pretty straightforward, but for the most part, I enjoyed SmackDown tonight. They had a very high rating, right? They had a 3.36, I believe, which is the highest rating SmackDown's had since the first SmackDown on Fox way back in 2019 when things were still normal. But yeah, and I expect SmackDown to do a good rating this week as well because the show was good. You know what I mean? And it's all about consistency. The easy way for SmackDown to continue doing well and to continue getting high ratings is to put out good shows every single week, right? Be consistent, right? You could be like Monday Night Raw and be consistently bad, but for SmackDown, man, they have the talent. And, of course, I say this all the time, with Sasha and Roman doing the job they're doing in their respective divisions, being the leaders of the show and the faces, right? It's, you already have the stars. All you got to do is give them good programming, good feuds, good stories, and that's it, right? And SmackDown's been doing that these last couple of weeks. And so I got to say, this was a good show to start off 2021. It wasn't perfect, but it was a good show, a good follow-up to what they did last week, and I'm hoping they continue to do that week by week by week. I don't know how SmackDown is so much better than Monday Night Raw these days, man, but, I know we have Raw Legends Night, which I'm not that hyped for, but I just hope that they continue doing wonders with SmackDown and continue being consistent with this good storytelling and these good shows. That's all I ask for. All right, but we're gonna get into SmackDown tonight. All right. So the first show of 2021 started off, of course, with the Tribal Chief, right? One of the faces of SmackDown, Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion. And just to clear up some of the confusion, right? Some people believe that Seth Rollins was supposed to come back on tonight's show, but he didn't. It was kind of a mix-up between the WWE advertising and what the creative wanted to do. I'm not surprised. Remember, Seth just had his daughter with Becky just a couple weeks ago. So we will see Seth back soon. I think he's probably coming back as a babyface, but, we don't know. We'll still have to wait and see what the plans are for Seth. But he'll be back probably around Royal Rumble time. So, Seth will be back before the end of the month. But for people that thought Seth was going to be on the show tonight, he wasn't. It's not a big deal. We'll see what happens with Seth. I said this on my year-end review. I could see Seth being put into the Intercontinental Championship picture, especially if he's a babyface again. You can do it with him as a heel, but, I don't see Seth being, put in the Universal title picture. I feel like that should be given to Daniel Bryan for right now. And, Roman's doing great work with Roman's doing great work with Kevin Owens. So, Seth will be there maybe later this year. But for right now, if you want to put Seth in the IC title picture, especially in WrestleMania season, him being one of WWE's biggest stars, I think that's the route you should go with him. But back to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns kicked off the show, right? I enjoyed this opening segment a lot. So Roman came out, he said, as the tribal chief, it's my job to wish you all a happy new year, right? He talked about 2020 a little bit, and, he talked about how even though it was a rough year for many, it was still a successful year for him, being the Universal Champion. And he talked about, his faction, his inner circle. So he talked about Paul Heyman. He gave some props also to Jey Uso, which kind of surprised me, right? Because Roman's always talked about himself, but he gave props to, his team around him. But of course, being the heel, he said that their success was because of him, because he was the tribal chief, right? So no really big surprises from Roman Reigns in this promo, but it was pretty good for what it was, right? I'm still waiting for Jimmy Uso to come back. Remember, the rumors were for him to come back late December, early January. So, I almost thought that we were going to see Jimmy Uso tonight, but we didn't. So we'll see when he comes back, but that's what I am expecting. But also, Kevin Owens came out. And like I said last week, with Daniel Bryan being put into the Men's Royal Rumble, right, I would have no problem with them continuing the Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns feud. It's been very well booked to this point, and I would have no problem with them having one last match at the Royal Rumble. And it seems like that's the direction we're going. So Kevin Owens came out, and right as KO came out, Roman got pissed. Right, Roman got pissed. He was like, like, why are you out here? I've already beaten you two times in a row at TLC and last week in our steel cage match. Like, take the paycheck that you got, right? Take the bonus that you got for being in the ring with me, for me making you relevant on the island of relevancy. I love when he says that. So Roman said that, and then he told KO to take that and just go home. When are you going to learn? So I just love how Roman did give KO any time to speak. He's like, why am I still wasting time with trash like you? So KO stood there, he took it, and KO took a jab at Roman. He called him a giant bitch, right? He also said that tonight my focus isn't on you. His focus was more on Jey Uso, right? And Roman was talking about Jey Uso and how this is his appreciation night, and KO put his focus on Jey Uso, mainly because Jey Uso is the main reason why Roman's been able to retain the title the last couple weeks, because of, his interference at TLC, and last week in the steel cage match with the handcuffs. So Jay was like, I want, a match with Jey Uso tonight, right? I want it, because Roman's logic is, of course, once he ends Jey Uso, he'll be able to focus on Roman with no distractions, not having to worry about Jey Uso getting involved in the match or anything like that, right? So he challenged Jey Uso to a match, but Roman was like, you're not going to get that match. So KO was like, all right, I'm just going to go to somebody backstage who will give me that match. So he went to Adam Pearce, And after a little bit of negotiation, something like that, Adam Pearce was hesitant to make the match at first because he is a little bit scared of Roman Reigns. But after some, a little bit of chatter between KO and Adam Pearce, Pearce made the match, and we would get KO versus Jey Uso in the main event. I don't have any problem with this, right? The only thing is we've seen this match a lot in the main event, especially since Survivor Series. I think this is like the third time that these two have faced off in the main event of SmackDown, right? So it does speak to, a little bit how SmackDown does need a little bit of more talent, because we've seen Jey Uso versus Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso versus KO a lot. And I did say that Jey Uso, he was the breakout star of SmackDown, or in WWE in general. He was WWE's breakout star in 2020, in my opinion. Him going from the tag team scene into the main event scene, right, and making the impact that he did. With all the main event matches and everything he did in the fall of 2020. But, I'm not going to lie, we've seen this match a lot, right? And it's mainly because SmackDown doesn't have the biggest talent pool. They make it work. They're putting on good shows, but it does show you that SmackDown has far less talent than Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw's main event scene is pretty packed. Pretty packed. You guys like Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, Keith Lee, AJ Styles, right? Braun Strowman, Randy Orton, Edge when he comes back, because Edge is mainly a Raw superstar, right? Brock Lesnar, Monday Night Raw has a huge main event scene. SmackDown, right? It's mainly Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and then you got to search like really, really hard to find the other ones, Seth Rollins, of course, but, you actually have to think, about SmackDown's main event scene. So I didn't really have a problem with the match or anything like that. It just shows you that SmackDown does need more main event talent, just because, all the talent goes to Monday Night Raw in the draft every single year, But yeah, that's just something, I wanted to make a little bit of a side note for. But, they made the main event work, and, SmackDown ended up with a pretty good segment, and we'll get to that a little bit later. So getting into the first action of the night, we had Big E versus Baron Corbin. This was an advertised match. Remember, last week, to close out the Christmas edition of SmackDown, we had Big E becoming the new IC champion, which I had no problem with. They made a pretty big scene about it with the confetti and all the baby faces, hosting Big E on their soldiers. So it was a big night for Big E, right? I also want to mention another thing. A lot of the WWE SmackDown superstars tonight were wearing Brody armbands, right? Or wristbands, stuff like that, paying tribute to Brody Lee. Remember Brody Lee, he wasn't signed with WWE at the time of his passing. So, there is a limit of what they can do to honor him. But, I do like that WWE's doing these small little things, pay tribute to Brody Lee. I will say this. I said this on my year-end review as well. I just hope that, if there's one positive thing that could come out of this, unfortunate Brody Lee situation, I would hope that the two companies, AEW and WWE, could, have some more peace with one another. We know that both, it's a business at the end of the day, and they want to do better, right? They want to be in the ratings and all that good stuff. But there's been so much tension between the two companies. But to see at least the companies, retweeting, tweets about Brody Lee and stuff like that, I'm just hoping that, this situation can allow some more peace and less tension at the end of the day, right? I want, both companies to be, of course, competitive with one another, but we don't want it to be all a war and, tension and, shit talking and all that. Like, let's have a little bit of peace in 2021. I feel like we had way too much negativity in 2020, and I would love to see that between, the two companies. But, but in terms of the match itself, right, with Big E, we know Big E and Brody Lee were very, very close, especially when Luke Harper was in WWE. So with the match we got tonight, right, you guys know I don't really care about Baron Corbin. Sami Zayn was at commentary, of course. He wants his IC title back. He was going on and on how there's a conspiracy against him, right? His classic thing, So it'll be interesting to see, what they do, with that. I can definitely see a rematch between Big E and Sami Zayn probably happening at the Rumble, but we'll see. We'll see. I don't see Big E losing that title. I did say last week I would love to see Aleister Black, right? Aleister Black has not been used at all at SmackDown since the draft, and I feel bad for him because he's such an amazing talent who has been messed up on the main roster so badly. It's a shame with someone as great as Aleister Black for him to not be used at all since the draft. But I'd love to see Aleister Black build back up and put into that IC title picture. Also, Seth Rollins, like I said, we just mentioned him. I can definitely see him elevating that division when he comes back. I also don't know why, like Buddy Murphy or Rey Mysterio, why aren't these guys being put in the IC title picture? We haven't seen Rey Mysterio or Buddy Murphy in nearly a month. We haven't seen him since Seth Rollins was taken off TV. It was like, when Seth was taken off TV, Murphy and Rey Mysterio were taken off with him. I don't know. I know that there were plans for the Buddy Murphy and Alea Mysterio storyline to continue, but it's like they completely forgot about it. Like WWE has talent on SmackDown. It's not as big as Monday Night Raw, but they have talent. They have, these really good, especially a really good mid-card division. You know what I mean? So I don't know why they're not being used. But of course we did get, the match with Big E and Baron Corbin, right? Wasn't anything special. You guys know I don't really care about Baron Corbin, but about midway through, Big E did hit Baron Corbin with the big ending, and right before you could get the pin, of course, Sami Zayn left commentary and made the interference, right? And it, ended up in a disqualification. We also saw, Baron Corbin's, Knights, right? His Knights, aka formerly known as the Forgotten Sons. They made the save, and it was all like a 3-on-1 beatdown on Big E until Apollo Crews came out to make the save. So Apollo Crews came out, and then this was made into a 2-on-1 or 2-on-2 tag team match, right? It reminded me of Teddy Long, Teddy Long coming out. That's the only thing that would have made this, this segment complete is Teddy Long's coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, this is now a 2-on-2 tag team match," right? But then we come back from break, we have the match itself, and near the end here, right, we saw Sami Zayn. Baron Corbin was able to get Apollo into the corner. Sami Zayn tagged himself in, and he looked like he was going for the haluva kick, but Baron Corbin was in the way because Apollo dodged it, and they almost hit each other. So because of that distraction, right, Apollo was actually able to pin Sami Zayn via roll up, and a big win for Apollo Crews. Good for him. And that's how the match ended, right? So Baron Corbin and Sami Zayn were fighting with each other after the match. And then backstage, Big E and Apollo were celebrating their win. Caleb Braxton asked Big E what kind of IC champion he plans to be. And we got Big E issuing an open challenge for next week's SmackDown for his IC title, right? Apollo Crews accepted the open challenge, and remember, this is an open challenge for next week. So Apollo, wanted to get the jump early. So there was a little bit of tease tension there because Apollo was like, I was, the guy who helped you, win that IC title back in the, the lumberjack match from last week. So you might be, you got to be careful. The guy that helped you win the title could also be the guy that caused you to lose that title, especially when I don't have your back. So, they teased a little bit of conflict, but of course, Big E and Apollo laughed it off. So, we'll get the match next week. It should be a good match, but I'm willing to bet right now that Sami Zayn or Baron Corbin, or maybe both, I don't see this match ending clean. I think most likely we'll see Sami Zayn probably interfere, and that will probably cause a disqualification because, Sami Zayn's going to be like, no one's taking that IC title from Big E other than me, so we'll see what happens with that next week, but that's what I am predicting. So, IC title picture is looking pretty decent. I would love to see guys, like I said, like Buddy Murphy, Aleister Black, Seth Rollins when he comes back. I want to see all those names get involved into that mid-card picture. Because like I said, SmackDown has the potential to have a amazing mid-card division. So we'll see what happens with that. So Big E versus Apollo, IC title next week. All right, moving on. We had a tag team match. This was also advertised. Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Bianca Belair and Carmella. We saw 2/3 of this match last week in the tag team title triple threat match. The only people that weren't in this match last week were the tag team champions, Charlotte and Asuka. So we've been seeing a lot of Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair teaming up as of late, which I have no problem. You guys know Sasha Banks is my favorite, best in the world, and Bianca Belair, I love her as well. So, like I said at the beginning of the review, Sasha has a lot of challenges right now for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And I got to give WWE credit. They are building a competitive SmackDown Women's division. This is what you get when you have the best female wrestler in the world as, the face of your Raw, or not your Raw, your SmackDown Women's division, right? And it disappoints me because Asuka is just as good as Sasha Banks is, and her title reign has been garbage. Her division is garbage. Right? I love the competitive nature right now in SmackDown. You have Sasha as your champ. You have Bianca Belair. You have Bayley, of course. You have Carmella, who's being built up and has, really done well in this new role that she has, right? You had Sonya Deville come back tonight, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you also have Natalya, the Riott Squad, and I forgot to mention the Riott Squad. They had a match tonight as well. So I'll talk about that right after we talk about Sasha Banks here. So, like I said, I like where SmackDown's women's division is, and it's, with Sonya Deville coming back tonight, that's, an added head, and Sonya Deville, I think, is one of the most underrated superstars in WWE's women's division. And who knows if Becky is put on SmackDown when she comes back in a couple months, since Seth is also on SmackDown. That's another name. And who knows about Ronda Rousey? You know what I mean? So SmackDown's women's division is being built up very, very well right now. The Raw women's division needs to take notes, really. Charlotte's return is not enough for the Raw women's division to, to be decent in my eyes. I feel like Raw's women's division needs 2 more credible names, before we can call that a decent division. And, you need to build up people for Asuka. Asuka hasn't had a legit title feud since Zelina Vega. And the crazy thing about it is Zelina Vega is not even with the company anymore. But getting into this match, right, this match could have gone many different ways. You know what I mean? Because the Sasha Banks and Carmella feud, it looks like that is continuing. I don't know what the deal is with this guy, Reginald, man. But, yes, they are continuing this feud. So, getting into the match itself, Sasha, wore a Brody Lee armband. She also wore her WrestleMania 36 ring gear, one of my favorites, right? We did talk about on the year-end review for a little bit what was our favorite Sasha Banks ring gear of the year. So, let me know in the comment section if you guys didn't watch that review. What was your favorite Sasha Banks ring gear of the year? Mine was her payback attire, right? The Hardy Boys one with the red, black, and white. Love that one. So, getting into the match itself, this was a really good tag team match. They treated this match almost like it was a tag team title match, and this is a match you could easily see on pay-per-view. I love the competitive nature we saw here. Really enjoyed that. So, getting into it, Sasha got the hot tag, right? Bianca's left arm was worked on by the heels. Sasha, of course, got the hot tag. She went off on Carmella, right? Corey Graves has been cringe on commentary as of late, of course, because we know Corey is dating Carmella, so he does suck her off on commentary a lot. But the match was pretty good. Corey Graves made a Sasha Banks Mandalorian reference, right? Sasha had like a Carmella in the corner at one point, and Sasha went for her double knees, and Corbin was like, "Oh, Sasha, the boss is going off like she's wearing her Mandalorian armor, like her best car armor, right? Because Sasha plays Koska Reeves, right, a Mandalorian in the Mandalorian show. So I love that, So Sasha continued went off. She was able to get Carmella into the bank statement, but this was a similar spot which we've seen a lot in the last couple of weeks with Sasha Carmella. Almost anytime Sasha gets Carmella into the bank statement, right, Reginald, Carmella's assistant, whatever you want to call him, interferes in the match. So, Reginald pulls Carmella out of the ring, and Reginald comes back in the ring, and you're like, does this guy have a death wish, right? Is he trying to, go up against Sasha Banks, the best in the world? So Reginald, acts like he's going to go up against Sasha, but when Sasha goes to hit him, Reginald he kind of moves like a cruiserweight. So I don't know if, WWE's trying to build Reginald up to potentially put him in the cruiserweight division or something like that, but the guy, I'm going to give him credit. He has some moves, right? He's pretty flexible. So he was doing backflips to get away from Sasha, right? Bouncing in and outside the ring. So Sasha was eventually able to catch Reginald with a clean right hand, but this allowed Carmella to hit the X Factor, right? Which is now being called the Mella Factor, I guess. That's what Corey Graves called it tonight. But, or the Mella Buster, X Factor, Face Buster, Mella Buster, Mella Factor, whatever you want to call it. Carmella hits Sasha with the move, and that actually gets Carmella the 1, 2, 3. So I'm not surprised, right? I did say that I would not have a problem with them doing a Sasha and Carmella rematch. Carmella's been doing good in this role, and the feud hasn't been that bad, right? But my prediction, I thought they were going to do Sasha versus Natalya. That's what I thought they were going to do for the Royal Rumble. We always joke that Natalya gets like one title match a year, and I kind of want to see the match. I don't want to see the feud, but I would like to see the match because, Sasha and Natalya have put on some good matches on Monday Night Raw in the past. So I kind of want to see what Sasha would do with Natalya, in a pay-per-view title match. But, Carmella did get the 1, 2, 3, and usually I get really mad when champions lose, right? And I don't like seeing Sasha lose. This is the first time Sasha has taken a pinfall in... I don't even know. I think it may have been when Asuka made Sasha tap out on Raw after SummerSlam. That might be the last time I saw Sasha take a pinfall or a submission. Sasha's been on a huge road. She hasn't lost in months. She's lost matches, of course, like tag team matches where she wasn't pinned. Bianca would take the pin. But this is the first time Sasha's been pinned or submitted in months. So this was kind of a big deal. I've been used to Sasha winning all these matches, but it doesn't hurt Sasha, of course. He's still champion at the end of the day. I just hate that this is Vince's mindset. This is how he, makes rematches happen. There's better ways to do this. There's easily far better ways to do this at the end of the day, but this is the way Vince does it. It's something that he desperately needs to change, if you ask me. But we are getting a Sasha versus Carmella rematch. So at first, when I saw this, I was like, we got to do this for the Royal Rumble, right? That's most likely where we're going to get the rematch. But now that I'm thinking about it, it might not happen because right after this match, we went backstage. We come back from commercial, and Sonya Deville is back, right? Remember, Sonya Deville, she was given off time from WWE because you guys remember in the summer of last year, the whole situation with, Sonya almost getting kidnapped, some stock come to her house. You guys can go research the situation if you guys forgot. But WWE, wrote Sonya Deville off TV, right, by having her lose to Mandy Rose at SummerSlam, saying Sonya would get fired by WWE. This was just to write Sonya off TV. I thought, most likely Sonya would come back and be put on Monday Night Raw, right? And I would have no problem with that. Sonya versus Asuka, that's a compelling match. I've been saying for years, Becky Lynch said this in an interview, she said Sonya Deville could be the next big WWE star, and I agree. I like Sonya Deville a lot. I'm happy to see her back. But I was surprised to see her on SmackDown, but I'm not complaining. Putting Sonya Deville into the SmackDown Women's division makes it that much better. She's a great heel, and she is underrated in the ring. That MMA background, like, there's a lot they can do with her. Have her going up against Bianca Belair eventually, And the big match, I believe, Sasha Banks versus Sonya Deville. Sasha is well, I could say king, but she's female. She's the queen of, bringing superstars to their best matches. All right. I don't have to go through the list. Asuka, Charlotte, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, right? Carmella recently. Sasha always brings all of these superstars to their best matches on the main roster. I've been saying that, I said that last year, I would love to see Sonya Deville versus Sasha Banks. Love to see that. I think that's what they should do for the Royal Rumble, because if you look at it, right, we are now in WrestleMania season. And, if you don't do it now, when are you going to have time to do a Sasha Banks versus Sonya Deville feud? Look at it, because Royal Rumble, then you have the Elimination Chamber. Unless you don't have Sasha defend, because right now I think Sasha's most likely, Sasha's most likely to defend the SmackDown Women's Championship inside the chamber, and I would have no problem with it, because if you look at the Raw Women's division is not strong enough. It's not strong enough for an Elimination Chamber match, and we know there's going to be at least one women's Elimination Chamber match. There's usually one for the men. I could easily see that being Drew McIntyre. I can easily see Drew McIntyre defending his WWE title in the Elimination Chamber, because I don't think you have enough people on SmackDown to do it. But I can easily see Drew McIntyre defending his WWE Championship inside the Elimination Chamber for Raw, and Sasha defending the SmackDown Women's Championship inside the Elimination Chamber, not only for the women, but for SmackDown, right? So that's what I think is going to happen right now, unless you don't do Sasha defending in the chamber and you just want to do a Sasha versus Sonya Deville match at Elimination Chamber. That's fine. I'm not complaining. But, that's what I think is going to happen. I think Sasha's going to defend in the chamber in February. So what I'm thinking now, right? Because after the Elimination Chamber is WrestleMania. And no disrespect to Sonya Deville, but, the match that's most likely going to happen for Sasha and Mania is either Sasha versus Rhea Ripley, Sasha versus Bayley, or Sasha versus Bianca. It's going to be one of those three, or a triple threat with Sasha, Bayley, and Bianca Belair. It's one of those four matches. Sonya Deville versus Sasha, that could be a good match, but it doesn't speak WrestleMania. You know what I mean? So that's the way I'm thinking, Royal Rumble would be the perfect time to do Sasha versus Sonya Deville. So when I'm thinking you still have, right? You still have 4 weeks till the Rumble. That's enough time. That's the perfect amount of time to book a feud. I think you still have about 3 or 4 SmackDowns till the Rumble. So what I would do, right? Since Carmella pinned Sasha tonight, it's whatever. We have to accept it, right? What I would do a Sasha versus Carmella match, end their feud, right? You can do that next week on SmackDown. You can do the week after, right? But I would do Sasha versus Carmella sometime the next 2 weeks on SmackDown. Have Sasha, take care of Reginald, take care of Carmella, put a definite end to their feud. And if you want, you could send Carmella to go feud with Bianca Belair, whatever. And after that, I would have Sonya Deville either attack Sasha Banks, build Sonya Deville up. Don't do what you did with Carmella. After you have Sonya win a couple matches, if you want to have Sonya defeat a Billie Kay, or defeat a Tamina, or defeat a Ruby Riott, even though I love the Riott Squad, right? If you want to have Sonya Deville win a couple matches, and then have her attack Sasha Banks, something like that. You don't have to make a crazy story out of it. Sonya's back. She wants to be in the title picture. Sasha's the champion. It's that simple. And then at the Rumble, Sonya Deville, Sasha Banks. I feel like that would be a huge match, right? And I feel like we could easily see Sasha take Sonya to her best match on the main roster, just like she just did with Carmella, because Sasha is the best in the world. So that's what I would do. I would do Sasha Banks versus Sonya Deville at the Royal Rumble, have Sasha face Carmella either next week or the week after, and that's how we get that done, if you, like I said, if you want to do Sasha versus Sonya at the Chamber in February, that's fine. But I just feel like right now it's more likely that we're going to see Sasha defend her match against 6 other women in the Chamber, which Sonya Deville would probably be in that match anyway. But either way, Sonya is back on SmackDown, and I'm excited to see what they do with her. She has a lot of potential, if you ask me, a lot. She is very, very underrated, and I hope WWE actually built her up correctly. Because I feel like one day she has the chance to be a huge megastar for WWE. All right, so we'll see what they do with Sonya, but I am excited to see her return because I honestly thought she was going to come back and be put on Raw, but I have no problems and no complaints for her being on SmackDown. So we'll see what happens with that. Speaking of the Riott Squad, we had the Riott Squad go up against Natalya and Tamina. This was a short match, but like I said, you need to have side feuds in your women's division. So no problem with this whatsoever. This was a very short match. We know that the Riott Squad have had this like mini thing going on with Billie Kay over the last month. So Billie Kay wasn't in this match, right? And she was kind of mad. She was like, why am I not in this match? So Natalya and Tamina look at, Billie Kay as like the weak link of the team. So they're just like, you're going to stand on the sidelines. So basically what Billie Kay does here, she distracted Tamina at the end of this match. Natalya got taken out, and Liv Morgan was able to pin Tamina for the win. So Billie Kay tried celebrating with the Riott Squad afterwards, but the Riott Squad really wanted nothing to do with her. So that was that, right? I don't have a problem with this. I will continue to say the Riott Squad should be the ones to take those titles from Charlotte and Asuka. I don't know why they haven't done that yet, but that should be the plan. There's really nothing else to say there. Riott Squad should be the next women's tag team champions. So that's that. Next up, we had Daniel Bryan. He teamed up with Otis to go up against Cesaro and Nakamura, right? We had Chad Gable, of course, at ringside, aiding his friend Otis. So this was set up. So basically, Daniel Bryan was he was working on his hips, right? Working on his hips with Chad Gable and Otis early in the day to prepare for the Royal Rumble, right? Daniel Bryan, as of right now, he is my pick. He should be the one to win the Royal Rumble, to go on to WrestleMania and face off against Roman Reigns, especially if there's a crowd. Hopefully there will be, hopefully by April things are back to normal, but that should easily be what they should do. You know what I mean? And if you guys saw Talking Smack, Daniel Bryan cut a really good promo on Roman Reigns. Daniel Bryan said, I plan on winning the Royal Rumble. I plan on going to WrestleMania. And if Roman is still champion, I plan on beating him. And Daniel Bryan also said that even if Roman's not the champion, eventually in the future, I will destroy him anyway. So I love the intensity from Daniel Bryan here. Daniel versus Roman should be the match at WrestleMania, the main event. No questions asked, right? There's really nothing else to say on that note. So if Daniel Bryan is going to win the Royal Rumble, he's just going to be put in side feuds for right now because, what else are you going to do with him? You're not going to put him in anything big before Mania. So we got the match here. It wasn't anything special. It wasn't a bad match, right? It's Daniel Bryan, Nakamura, and Cesaro. And you guys know, I will keep saying this, Nakamura and Cesaro are, they've never been used correctly on the main roster. And I hate that. But, in this match, they were good, of course, because they are underrated as hell. But the match ended with Daniel Bryan. He was able to hit the running knee. I believe it was on Cesaro. Otis then took Cesaro out at ringside. Daniel Bryan put in the yes lock, and Nakamura tapped out. And they celebrated the match by doing this hip celebration. Looked pretty weird, but yeah, that was that. They got the win. I don't know. I would put Chad Gable and Otis in the tag team division, right? You need tag teams. And I hate that Otis got broken up. They should have never broken up Otis and Tucker. Tucker has not been seen, since that breakup, which is one thing that WWE had no plans for that feud or that breakup. It's disgustes me because WWE broke up another good tag team. But like I said, Otis and Chad Gable, they kind of work with one another. So put them in the tag team division. You need more tag teams. Speaking of the tag team division and the tag team champions, the Street Profits. Street Profits had a little New Year's celebration, right? Talking about some of their predictions for the new year. Street Profits, I gotta say, with how bad the tag team division was booked in 2020 for WWE, Street Profits still were able to break out, and you can say outside of the New Day and the Hurt Business, they are the top tag team in WWE, and I'm proud to say that as a black man, right? To see the tag team division, as even though it's not booked well most of the time, to see it being run by 3 really good tag teams, it's good to see, black people succeeding in the wrestling business. But Street Profits came out. They had a nice little drum set, right? They talked about how, their Sami Zayn Intercontinental Championship t-shirt will be one of the top selling shirts on the WWE shop in 2021. So making their jokes, of course. And then they made a joke about Dolph Ziggler. They said how Dolph Ziggler's 2021 will end in heartache. This was in reference, of course, to the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. We all know Dolph Ziggler is viewed as the modern day Shawn Michaels. Not from a booking perspective, of course, because he's been booked terribly at the last 10 years, but talking about in terms of, appearance, in-ring style, things of that nature, right? So, making fun of Dolph Ziggler. So that not Biggie, Bobby Roode, actually, right? I don't care if his name is Robert Roode. I'll call him Bobby whenever I want to. So, Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler attacked the Street Profits from behind, right? Dolph Ziggler hit super kicks on both members of the Street Profits. Bobby hit Montez Ford with some brutal chair shots on ringside. They sent Angelo Dawkins over the barricade where the screens for the Thunderdome are located. And yeah, so they were sending a message to the champ. So this segment was done well. Do I believe that Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler are going to win the tag team championships? No. I will continue to say it. Once Jimmy Uso comes back, that's going to be a huge feud. The Usos versus the Street Profits. The Usos, the heel tribal chief Usos, right? They will be the ones to take the tag titles from the Street Profits, right? Nobody else. I did enjoy the intensity of Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler here. They were intense, they were, amped up, and they did a really good heel attack, sending a message. They were interviewed by Caleb Braxton afterwards, talking about how, no one's as good as them, right? And how they want the tag team championships and they want another match. So it made perfect sense, right? It's just that I don't care about Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. I don't care. It's that simple. When you've been booked as badly as those two are, I don't care. No matter what you do with them, I just don't care. They're good. They did their job in their segment. I do not care. It's that simple. So we'll probably eventually get another match with these two teams in the next couple weeks. I expect the Street Profits to defend successfully and retain. So it's that simple. Straight and to the point. So good attack by Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler here, but the Street Profits are not losing those tag team championships to any team but the Usos. It's that simple at the end of the day. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So finally, we saw in our main event, Jey Uso versus Kevin Owens. We already talked about how we've seen this match multiple times, right? Roman Reigns was frustrated with Adam Pearce, because he felt disrespected that, Adam Pearce would continue to book these matches and not give, Roman Reigns the respect as the tribal chief. So, that was a little nugget there, but the match itself was good, right? Jey Uso and Kevin Owens, they can have a bad match with one another. It's just that I can understand some of the frustration because we've seen the match so many times in the last couple months, especially in the main event of SmackDown. But, it was a good match. KO did win here. KO was very, very aggressive, right? And we all know he's been very, very frustrated having to deal with Jey Uso interfering in all of his title matches in the last month, TLC and of last week in the steel cage match. So KO did win the match. I believe he won it with a stunner, but he was not done. So after the match, right? After the match, KO absolutely continue. He had a brutal. This was a pretty brutal assault, right? But you can understand it because KO was very frustrated with having to deal with Jey Uso's continuous interference in all of his title matches the last couple of weeks at TLC and last week on SmackDown. So you can understand why KO being the babyface here was, brutalizing Jey Uso in this fashion, But the whole point of the attack was to bait Roman Reigns to come out, to ringside. But, Roman was not going to fall for KO's, KO's little plan. So what happened here is KO continued to brutalize Jey Uso here. He even handcuffed him to the rope. He hit him with a stunner and a couple more super kicks, right, and kept beating him down. He even went to commentary, took off Corey Graves' headset, and told Roman to come out here, bitch, but Roman would have fall for it. So KO got frustrated to the point where he was like, all right, if you're not going to come out to me, I'll bring Jey Uso to you. So he handcuffed Jey Uso now to his hands, right? Because KO had the key in his ring gear, and he started dragging Jey Uso up the Thunderdome, up the ramp, my bad, But Roman Reigns came out of nowhere, right from behind, and attacked him. So Roman waited for the perfect moment to attack KO. So, like I said, Roman being the tribal chief, he's always a step ahead. So he waited for the exact moment for when KO would have his guard lowered. So I gotta give Roman credit here. Great job by him. And this attack was brutal. Roman and Jey Uso then, just unloaded on KO. KO had no hope here. And what they did is, they fought in the Thunderdome screen. So they actually just kept throwing Jey Uso over, or not Jey Uso. Jey Uso and Roman kept throwing Kevin Owens, on the screens. So they kept going higher and higher to the higher level screens, right? They hit KO with a brutal 2-on-1 chair attack. And then to top it off, they threw KO off the Thunderdome screen down to a table that was set up at the bottom of the Thunderdome. So pretty brutal attack. I loved the visual because it was different, right? I loved seeing them fight, inside the Thunderdome, up where the screens are. That was a pretty cool visual, man. But you can see, as long as Roman has Jey Uso, it's always going to be 2-on-1, right? Like KO has no hope unless he's able to get somebody on his side to even the odds. I thought Jimmy Uso, right? I thought Jimmy Uso was going to make his return here, but he didn't. But either way, the attack was brutal. It got the job done. And yeah, I do think we're going to see one more KO and Roman match, probably at the Rumble. Maybe this is like teasing us towards the last man standing. But like I said, as long as Jey Uso is able to get involved and interfere, Kevin has no hope. It doesn't matter how much he fights. It's like Ricochet fighting against Retribution on Raw. There's no hope for the guy, But the segment did its job. I'm still invested in the story. It's going to be interesting now. The next step in the story is whatever the match is at the Royal Rumble, how is KO going to deal with the 2-on-1 factor? Because he has no hope, no hope as long as it's 2-on-1, right? I would not be surprised. Maybe KO is able to get Jey Uso out of the picture. I don't know how he'll do it, but maybe he is. But then I could easily see Jimmy Uso coming back and making, the final save here. But like I said, we'll see. We'll see where they go with this. But, I'm enjoying the feud, right? And like I said, I have no problem with this continuing and ending at the Royal Rumble, all right? But other than that, that ends a really good SmackDown. Well, I won't say really good, but it was a good edition of SmackDown, right? It did its job. It was consistent. It furthered the storylines, right? And it gives you a reason to watch next week, like what's gonna happen with Sasha Banks and Carmella. What is Sonya Deville? What's the first thing she's gonna do? Now that she's back on SmackDown, right? You know, what's KO gonna do to try to get payback on Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and try to even these odds? So they're giving you reasons to tune in to SmackDown next week, and they're giving you good, consistent storytelling. Right? That's all I ask out of SmackDown. And if you continue that, the ratings will continue to go up, and SmackDown will continue to succeed. That's all you have to do. I don't know how hard it is because they're able to do it on Monday Night Raw. I mean, not Monday Night Raw. They're able to do this on SmackDown most of the time, but they can't do it, on Raw. Never. Raw's been garbage for months. I don't remember the last good show Monday Night Raw has had. You know what I mean? Like, SmackDown is decent most weeks. Raw, I can't tell you the last time they had a decent show. And Raw Legends Night is not going to do the job. I'm sorry. It's not the answer. You know what I mean? But either way, man, SmackDown's doing good. Good show tonight. I'm excited for next week's show. And when do I ever say that? I'm excited now for a WWE show because I'm enjoying what SmackDown's doing. So hopefully they keep it up going to the future, man. But let me know what you guys think. Did you guys enjoy SmackDown tonight? What was your favorite part? Tell me, guys, in the comment section. I'm always looking at your feedback. Always looking to chat with you guys. But other than that, guys, that's all I got for you guys today. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Hit the bell right next to my name, Fitz TV, so you guys are notified. Excuse me. Every time I post a new video, follow me on social media. Thanks to everyone who live tweeted with me during SmackDown tonight. That's the easy way to talk to me. Anytime outside of YouTube about anything, so follow me down on social media. The links are in the description down below. I'll see you guys later. Stay safe and healthy, y'all. If you guys didn't check out my other bonus podcasts like the Sasha Banks one or the 2020 year in review one, go check those out. Those are live on the channel right now, right? Other than that, I'll see you guys later. Have a great 2021, guys. I'll see you guys probably most likely on Monday for Raw. Have a good yeah. Sorry, this outro is going a little bit too long, but I'll see you guys later, man. Stay safe and healthy. Peace.